All right, welcome back to the channel, Hans Truelson for governor. And I may end up running for something else, but hey, it's the ideas that count. So this video is still worth watching. And so, listen, I'm not actually trying to win for governor. My goal is to get these ideas out there, right? My goal and my purpose is not to see myself sitting in a chair telling others what to do. It is to get the change that we need to see to make Texas a truly happy place to live for everyone. And so in the last video, I talked about prison. Is prison torture? And the resounding answer is yes, it is torture. It has to be our number one priority to get rid of all torture in Texas. And we talked about how, if you like that kind of stuff, how we're going to help you and we love you and we care about you and we're going to get you the healing that you need without having to watch somebody else get hurt. And I truly love you and I care about you. And I said a lot, Jesus loves you, because I think all those things are really important to tell people. But I said I would like to talk about the economy. And as much as I would like to talk about the economy, there's one other thing that we need to talk about first, and it's this. And it's related to the whole prison thing. Why we shouldn't put people in prison, another reason, is because the laws that we have are bad laws. And I'm going to prove to you why they're bad laws. The people who get into office do not pass the laws that they want to pass. You ask the Republicans, are they good laws? They'll say, no, they suck. You ask the Democrats, are they good laws? They'll say, no, they suck, because everybody's compromising. And they create these horrible, it's like a cow is a beautiful creature. Like, it's got 4 legs and looks great and it lives and it's happy, and then you have, like a horse, right? Or like a cow, or like maybe a squirrel or whatever. There's all kinds of different animals that are great. But if you take like a cow and you try and like mix it with like an ostrich, like, it's gonna be this horrible disaster of a creature that's like not gonna look right, and it's not gonna work right, and it's gonna die and be awful. And that's basically the current state of our law. It's like half cow, half ostrich. It has an ostrich head and a cow's stomach, so it tries to like eat grass and it can't eat it, and it's like dying. You know what I'm saying? That's like when the Republicans and the Democrats are like trying to make these laws, and everyone's trying to compromise and agree on these laws. Nobody got what they wanted. I personally think a lot of times, if the Republicans got everything that they wanted in certain areas, it would actually turn out to be fine. If the Democrats got what they wanted in certain areas, or even if the sponsor of the bill, just one senator, could get, this is the one law I want, and they passed what he wanted, honestly, it might be a cow, it might be a lion or a tiger, but it would actually function, right? But what we have now is a bunch of laws that are just giant compromises. And I think the truth is, the people who make the laws don't like them. They say, this is the only law I could pass politically. It's not actually the right law. And because the people that make them don't like them, we should recognize no one should be punished because of the law. If the people that make the law say these are not perfect laws, then we should not treat them as perfect laws. And we certainly shouldn't ever treat them as something that gives us the right to abuse or torture another human. So how should law be made? And guys, I want to talk about the economy because it's fun, but listen, safety first. That's what this video is. We put safety first. We have to make sure we keep people safe and people don't get hurt. And I know everyone's like, but I want to go drive at 100 miles an hour on the motorcycle. Great. You have to wear like safe stuff first. Okay. This is safety first. So please pay attention to your safety briefing. Okay. The goal is this. We want to make laws that are not actually laws, right? It's an ancient invention to control people. Very, very, very primitive, okay? I talk about this a lot. It's the day and the age where you get a scratch on your arm and the doctor says, we're going to have to amputate. No, now we just take some pills, right? You take the pill, hey, fixes your arm, you don't get infected, you're good to go. Okay, here's what you should always do. Laws should always be treated not as this is what you have to do and we're going to punish you if you don't. It's this is how society thinks that you should behave. See that? This is society's expectation of you. So when people act according to expectation, it reduces what's called cognitive load. Cognitive load means if I pull up to the stop sign, I stop, I see the other guy. If I know that he's going to stop at the stop sign too, I'll stop, I'll keep going. right? If I know that when I have a green light, the other guys are going to stop at the red light, that I don't have to think about, are they going to come, right? That's what a law is to create guidelines. We go when it's green, we stop when it's red, right? But at the end of the day, we always have the question, if it's 4 a.m. and there's nobody around for 2 miles and there's a stoplight and it's been red for a minute and you're tired, is it a crime to go through it? Right? That's what I'm saying. These are just supposed to be considered guidelines. Nobody in their right mind would say, you should give him a ticket because he did that, you know? One of my friends, he's like, it was like 4:15 a.m. Nobody was around. I rolled through a stop sign. You know, I was remembering and you got a ticket. Like, that's not, I get it. Like, there's the leaguers like, Buddy did it, Buddy did it. And I understand that he went through it. But let's think about things from a bigger picture, right? You had to grow up in school. School told you your sole purpose in life is to do everything how the teacher wants it. But I'm going to tell you the truth. That teacher doesn't know. That teacher didn't know how to invent artificial intelligence. Somebody had to do what's called thinking outside the box, right? When we use our logic and reason to say, I'm going to logically reason how I'm never going to get in trouble and I'm going to do everything perfect every single time, that's wasting your brain power. You need to be using that brain power to be like, this hasn't been invented before. How can I invent it? How can I do it? Or how can I love someone? How can I serve someone, right? We're supposed to see the big picture. When we artificially limit ourselves, see that box I'm drawing there? We artificially limit ourselves into a box that other people have made when it's stupid to remain in that box, then we become really unproductive people. What we have to always do is we should always make an attempt. I personally think, I could be wrong, but I think it makes sense, right? We follow the social protocols. We try to not cause problems because it's easier for people. You know, we don't run through red lights because it's a problem when we do that, right? But we run into problems when we start following the law for the sake of the law as opposed to for social cohesion. So we all have a system that we all understand. It's like me speaking English. If I speak the same language as you, that's a good thing. We're speaking the same protocol. We can communicate. But there comes times when sometimes people invent new words, right? Because the old word wasn't good enough, right? And so that's how all law is supposed to be, a guideline. It's a guideline. This is a social guideline. And so whenever someone doesn't follow the social guideline, it shouldn't be, did they or did they not follow the social guideline? That doesn't make sense. It should be, was their behavior problematic? And we use the guidelines as a means to help us understand if their behavior is problematic. And the question is, are they hurting someone by what they're doing? Or are they endangering someone by what they're doing, right? We have these guidelines that theoretically should be wise people that are coming up with protocols for safety. And it's supposed to be a compromise of this will help us be safer, right? We'll be less likely to run lights and crash, but also reasonability. Like, there has to be a certain reasonableness to laws. Otherwise, nobody will follow them. And when we stop controlling people, we will let people come up with their own social guidelines, and we can come up with those and codify them. But some people, believe it or not, are always going to be smarter than the average. It's a bell curve. It goes wee like that. Down here is the people that have low IQ. Up here is the average. Most people are the average. And then down here is those few people who are extreme geniuses. The people in the middle are the ones that are going to make the guidelines. It's very high amounts of people up here. That's the majority. They choose what the guidelines are because they're the majority, right? But really, it's the people up here that are really smarter than the rest of the Einsteins, the Newtons of the world, right? These are the ones that can really help us stop and reflect. Maybe these guidelines weren't what we wanted, right? And it's these guys who are not going to always comply with what the rest of us think is right. We're up here, we think this is right, but they're going to be doing something smarter than us. And so when it comes to the trial, the quote unquote trial for this person, they're going to be talking to us and being like, yeah, you guys made this little guideline that seemed good to you all, but you didn't think about this and this and this. Right? And then they explain everything to us. That should be an opportunity. If this is like a super smart person and they're doing it different, they may have done it wrong, right? They may have done something completely wrong, but we're going to listen to them and think, because maybe they're trying to help us update our guidelines. Maybe our protocol for society wasn't smart. Maybe we weren't doing the best thing, you know? And so the goal of these guidelines is to help people get along. There's always going to be the people around down on this side, and they did something so extremely stupid that all of us recognize as stupid, and these guys recognize as stupid. But the funny thing is, these guys and these guys may both agree that the genius was stupid. You know, Einstein being like, the theory of relativity states that E equals mc squared, or whatever it is. I'm just saying, these guys probably are going to think he's being stupid. The extremely low IQ. The people in the middle are probably going to think he's stupid, right? But he thinks he's right by himself, and these guys think they're right by themselves. But eventually, over time, Einstein can prove that he is right, right? He can do enough experiments that we all in the middle realize he's right, and even these guys realize he's right. But this guy is obviously never going to prove that he's right if he did the wrong thing. And so the whole idea of this is we want to make guidelines that accept that some people are here. Everybody has different gifts. And if you're over here, they should be guidelines that people over here can follow. They can't be too difficult, right? Some of our guidelines and laws are literally just too difficult. Some people are not math-based, and now they're trying to file their taxes. They don't know how to do it. We have to have guidelines that work for everyone, because that's just stupid if we don't. And they have a human right, even if someone has a lower IQ. If you're not as smart as somebody else, you have the right to not be discriminated against. And I feel once again like they're like I feel like the voice is laughing in the room saying, well, yeah, we should be able to discriminate against stupid people, right? Haha, they're stupid. And no, you should always love all people. They are in your life for a reason, to teach you a lesson, I would assume, that you needed, because you're busy going computing everything, and maybe, just maybe, there's something in their life that you can learn from. And when you make those laws a little bit easier for this person, what happens is, if you stop discriminating against stupid people and you just say, fine, we'll make laws that work for people that aren't very smart, you take cognitive load off the average person. And that means the average person is going to be more efficient and more productive. I'm telling you, when you take care of the people who can't take care of themselves, you learn how to do things more efficiently. And everyone in society becomes more efficient because you're making laws that are easier to comply with. They're more clear. They're more comfortable, right? And so the goal of being a good person literally is to learn how to love others, because that's where true satisfaction in life comes from. So when we're dealing with the laws, okay, fine, I just said that. I wasn't really part of the speech. But anyways, the purpose of laws has got to be to help foster social cohesion. It has to be to help people get along, to help people have an expected standard of behavior, so I can predict what you're going to do with reasonable. I can predict the range with which your behaviors. I can predict not exactly what you will do, but you're going to do something that I can sort of account for and plan for. That's what it's for, is to help us have predictability. And when people aren't functioning within those guidelines, we help them learn how to function within those guidelines. And in addition, we also check those guidelines to see, can we update it maybe and make it better? And so the cool thing about if we do this right is we won't have to throw people in prison anymore. That's ancient practice, the Code of Hammurabi. I mean, this is from thousands of years ago, people inventing laws and punishing people for failure to obey. No, we're going to help people get along. And so the goal of all of this is to help us get rid of our idea that it's okay to torture someone just because they didn't follow a law, that literally the legislators themselves will say, I didn't get the law that I wanted. It was a compromise. If the very people that make it think it's a bad law, they just think it was less bad than what was before, then no one should ever find someone guilty. Instead, we are going to work together. So anyways, I feel that I didn't fully explain everything I want to explain in this video, but I do feel that this video is good enough, and I want you guys to please think through how we can get out of this box like that ant. This is how I'll close. That ant in A Bug's Life, right? He was walking on the little path, and then like the leaf falls in his path, and he's like, "What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?" And the other ant's like, "Dude, just walk around it," right? And you keep going. That's what the law is. It's like this path that we're used to, and it's a path that everybody doesn't like, but it was the path that we all agreed to socially. And so the goal is always going to be that we learn how to travel a different path that's more efficient, and we learn how to go around, right? We stop judging each other. If this person's on a different path, we just say, hey, hopefully they learned something and they can tell me something. So anyways, that covers up this video. But yeah, the bottom line is this, right? Politicians don't even think the laws are right. So if they don't think it's right, we should never view the laws as God's gift to humanity and we're going to punish those that don't do it. That's literally insanity. No, we're going to work with people, ask them, why didn't you do it? And figure out a way to help them act in ways that don't hurt others. That concludes this video. May God and Jesus bless you. Hans Truelson for governor or whatever I may be running for. Have a great day. Bye.